Hey guys, this is Mark. I'm wrapping up the September 2022 Patreon project. This is my first one. Um, Taking me a little time to do the editing. As I do more, I'm gonna get quicker at it. I'm out of practice with editing right now. So September's project is the 1985 Cobra ATV. It was advertised in an animated commercial for the Marvel comic book, G.I. Joe Real American Hero issue 37. The animation was recycled and used as an ad for the Ferret, Tomax, Saymont, and the G.I. Joe Armadillo that also came out that year. If you look closely at the commercial, you can see that the one used in the commercial was not the final production model. I was tempted to redesign a few parts to match the pre-production variation, or at least paint the gun red and blue like in the commercial. The Ferret also appeared in episodes of the Sunbow cartoon, specifically in the miniseries Pyramid of Darkness, where the Dreadnought somehow flew them around in space in zero gravity. So this is part one. This is the plan. Here's what I plan to do. I did a 3D design of a classified or 1/12 scale G.I. Joe Ferret back in May of 2022 as a commission, but I never got around to making one myself. So this is me finally kind of playing with this design I did a while ago. I designed it using the original blueprints and one of the original toys from 1985 as a reference. So we're going to talk about size because this has really bothered me with this whole project. The Ferret is huge. It's much larger than an actual ATV would be. I've never had a project where I second guessed the size as much as I have with this one. I look at the body of the classified scale Ferret and I can't help but think it's just too big. But every time I go to resize it, I come back to exactly where I'm at. The back of the original Ferret almost reaches the shoulders of an original 3 3/4 inch G.I. Joe figure. The tires are just about all the way up the thigh. So when I kind of do these side-by-side comparisons of the original Ferret with a 3 3/4 figure and with the pieces I've got of the classified scale Ferret, everything kind of checks out. It's just so big. I went ahead and measured it side by side with a HISS tank, and the Ferret's the same width as a HISS tank, and it's even wider if you include the missiles that are on the sides. So my original design was done specifically with FDM printing in mind. I'm not a huge fan of FDM on detailed pieces like this because of these unsightly layer lines. So my primary means of printing for this project will be resin, or specifically DLP, digital light processing, with my Elegoo Saturn. I'll be using ABS light gray with a splash of Soraya Tech Tenacious mixed in for strength. One great thing about FDM, I'll say this, is that it's much easier to control tolerances. When I design for FDM, I design less play between adjoining pieces than I would if I was designing for DLP. With DLP, I find that parts have a tendency to grow. So if there's a hole, it's gonna kind of shrink and close up. If there's a part, it will print thicker than originally intended. You can dial these settings in, but my experience has been that they don't stay dialed in for very long. Between decomposition of the resin you're using, diminishing LCD lights, the LCD screen kind of losing its strength, the FEP getting worn, like all these things, I mean, even the temperature inside the shop, they all play a factor in how much these parts are going to grow and not come out exactly like within 100th millimeter of what they were designed to be. They're gonna grow. So all that said, I'm expecting to do some sanding on a lot of these parts to make them fit together and move the way they're intended to move. I usually airbrush projects like this with acrylic, but I'm gonna try something a little different and use like a rattle can of a gloss enamel. And this is gonna give it a little more durability. It's gonna be more scratch resistant. It's also gonna help if I'm applying decals or stickers later on. Color wise, I'm gonna find a blue a little lighter than the original color of the Ferret. It's very dark navy blue, and it's a little too dark for me, honestly. Like, I like to be able to see the details I'm looking at. So I'm gonna try and find a blue closer to like that Sunbow Cobra blue that you see on the Ferret, the Rattlers, and any of the other vehicles. I've got a couple of opaque red water slide decals of the Cobra logo that I picked up a few years ago, and I'm gonna use those. I'm not as concerned about the other stickers, you know, just not to sound like a broken record, but having been in the military as long as I was, like, G.I. Joe vehicles are a little over stickered. Like, there's just never that much stuff going on the exterior of a vehicle. And the tires, like, I'm pretty excited about this. I really did some experimentation on this one, and I think I finally kind of cracked the code on the right way to do tires for these vehicles. But more is gonna come up on that in the next video. All right, guys, I hope you're as excited as I am for this project. It's really gonna turn out nice. And that's really kind of what I'm doing, is I'm trying to just like pull all the stops and say, what is the best way for me at home to make something and have it look and feel like a proper toy and not just something that you can clearly tell was 3D printed. I want to get as close to a production looking piece as possible. So I hope you're excited like I am, and we'll see you in the next video.